File photo. Damaged solar panels are seen after the area was hit by Hurricane Maria and HumacaoSix days after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. Officials were still taking stock of what is expected to be a months-long effort to rebuild the island's power system, keeping much of its 3.4 million people in darkness for an extended period. Maria struck the U.S. territory as a very dangerous Category 4 hurricane last week, with winds up to 155 miles per hour, 249 kilometers per hour, leveling large swaths of the island, killing at least 10 residents and cutting off power and telecommunications services. Broken electricity poles and streetlights were seen listing into the middle of highways around the island on Monday, with intersections turned into obstacle courses as cars drove over and around tangled wires and other debris. Unlike Hurricane Irma a week earlier, where tens of thousands of utility workers streamed into Florida shortly after that storm swept through the state, those dedicated to assessing the damage to Puerto Rico's degraded electrical grid were only starting to get the full measure of the destruction. A full damage assessment has been difficult because of the limited ability to get flights to the island, and as federal agencies have been concentrating on life-saving efforts and providing power to crucial infrastructure like hospitals. Rebuilding will be a challenging task for the island's bankrupt electric utility. Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, PREPA, already regularly criticized by residents for frequent outages and rates higher than every U.S. state other than Hawaii. Preliminary assessments suggest about 55% of the island's transmission towers have been destroyed, according to industry group the American Public Power Association, which is working with the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency on relief efforts. About 90% of the distribution network, which brings power to residents and businesses, is out of commission, APA said. Nighttime satellite images released by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration show the island early on Monday almost entirely without light. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission said Monday that 91% of cellular sites in Puerto Rico remain out of service. Outside San Juan, the capital, cell service was virtually non-existent. Crews. Equipment file photo. A worker uses a backhoe loader to remove damaged electrical installations from a street after the area was hit by Hurricane Maria in Yabucoan, Florida following Irma. A Reuters witness saw convoys of utility vehicles around the state, but in Puerto Rico, signs of activity were sparse, with just the occasional utility crew seen. APA on Monday said that assessment needed to be finished before it could get public power utilities to send crews and equipment. The New York Power Authority had sent a crew of a dozen on Friday with drones. There are many logistics to coordinate, said Mike Hyland, APA Senior Vice President in Engineering Services. We need to know where the crews will be housed and if we can ensure their safety and health so they can be effective. File photo. A neighborhood is flooded after the area was hit by Hurricane Maria in Catano Municipality, southwest of San Juan. The reconstruction looks to be arduous, Hyland said. Broken transmission towers, heavy steel structures up to 150 feet, 46 meters, tall that support high-voltage wires were visible around Puerto Rico. They may need to be airlifted off the island, rebuilt, and then transported back, he said. The rates PREPA charges weren't enough for the utility to maintain its infrastructure, in part due to ineffective collection efforts, and long-standing mismanagement had left it in a $9 billion hole before declaring bankruptcy in July this year. The country is likely going to be without power for months, said Ismael Perez, an engineer and resident. The national utility needs to be depoliticized or privatized, he said. PREPA's equipment was already degraded and unsafe. According to a draft fiscal report the utility filed in April prior to declaring bankruptcy. A source familiar with the bankruptcy said he has been told it will take 2 to 4 months to get the power back on, requiring a lot of cash. My understanding is that the generation assets came through in reasonably good shape and that it is just the power lines that are the real source of concern right now, said the source, who asked not to be identified as he was not authorized to speak with media. Unlike the continental United States, where one utility can draw on another's power during emergencies, PREPA is the only provider in Puerto Rico. It's not an easy thing to restore power to an island, said Najmuddin Meshkati, an engineering professor at the University of Southern California specializing in disaster recovery. There is no neighboring utility that can help transmit power or easily send crews over to help. Quote, this story has been refiled to remove the word late from before on Friday in second paragraph. After subheading, reporting by Robin Respot in San Juan and Scott DeSavino in New York. Additional reporting by Dave Graham in San Juan and Stephanie Kelly in New York. Writing by David Gaffin. Editing by Joseph Radford.